Well, just having a bit of a sanity break down to the beach. I got a reply from the Thai embassy in Canberra. I didn't expect it, actually. It was a polite reply thanking me for the information about enclosing cash with the visa application. So I'm presuming that what that means is that most people don't put cash in with the application. I inserted it into the actual passport itself. Mind you, it's ambiguous. I still don't know whether they've got the money, whether someone has nicked it or not. And if they haven't, then it means that I'm still on that fence when it comes to the trip. So I don't know if that's such a great position. If the money had been lost, I said, stuff it, that's it. Couldn't be bothered, too hard, too many hassles. But if it goes through smoothly, then I've got it's going to mean it's a possible goer again. I had to actually go back indoors before I embarked on my little walk down to the beach because I forgot to put my mask in my back pocket. I also just noticed another plane going overhead. It's amazing how many more planes are coming into Cairns. I'm hearing them at all hours of the night and day, so it's not a rare occurrence. A lot of people are definitely coming into the city. Although with all the hysteria over the latest strain, the Omicron strain, who knows what's going to happen with state governments. And I think there's a few hoops you have to go through to come to Queensland, so it's amazing people even doing it. But they are, and it's just nice I can walk down here without having to worry about stupid masks. So, hopefully the mask mandate will be lifted New Year's, but there's no guarantees of anything in this world right now. So just fingers crossed on that one. Oh yeah, sort of slight acknowledgement of the festive season there. Not much, it's pretty low key. That's where my neighbour Jackie lives, right down there on the right, one of those houses, and my place is on the opposite side. So apparently she watered the lady palm that she threw over the back fence. She always uses the correct term for it, the scientific term, but being a doctor, that doesn't surprise me. She's used to that sort of lingo, I guess. Yeah, I think it's a Latin term that they use. But who knows, it might survive. I mean, I'm giving it good earth. I'm going to give it a crap load of moisture. So anything's possible. I can feel the humidity in the air. I don't normally feel it that much up here, but at this moment, yeah, I can feel there is definite humidity. It'll be a little better down at the beach. But you wouldn't want to be exerting yourself too much physically, I think, in this weather. Pretty taxing. But it is always nice to go down the beach because you get the sea breeze. So it should be alright. Interested to see if many people wear masks down there. Certainly the people on the street around here aren't. Yeah, I like to go down the beach at least once a week, but I'm probably doing it more like once a fortnight. It's a nice little creek, that. Yeah, I imagine it's quite busy down in Cairns. It's a little busier here, but not, really flat chat by any stretch. So, still pretty quiet, which is okay by me. So it's a good place to sleep. Young guy on a push bike back there. He's got a table set up and I think he's selling drinks. And he saw me walking past and I was walking on the side. Well, I was walking next to his table because he was on the bike on the other side of the path. And he asked me if I wanted to buy a drink. I said, I got to admit, it's the perfect weather for it. It is bloody humid, so good luck to him. But it's a pretty quiet area. He's not going to get that many people. Maybe closer to 5 o'clock he might. But yeah, that was funny. That's the second misunderstanding today. I had that woman tap me on the shoulder in the bus and thinking I was someone else. Communications aren't going smoothly today. He wasn't wearing a mask either, so that's no big surprise. And he's on school holidays, presumably. Well, the question is, will I walk along the beach? I probably should. And because I'm here a little earlier, there's quite a bit of beach. The tide isn't in quite as high, so that's good. There's some people down there. Like I say, crazy I live this close to the beach and don't go down here more often. I should do it. If I had a dog, I guess I'd have more of an excuse to do it. But, yeah, the breeze is nice to be expected, and it's certainly a relief from the humidity. Yeah, because at the high point, that's where how far up it gets, right up to there, where the actual foliage is. But it's out quite a bit at the moment to see. Yeah, can I sit on this? Yeah, this is all right. Should do nicely. Yep, that's perfect. Natural seat. Good there. Yeah, very nice. Oh, it's Christmas Day, and I can hear my neighbour's aircon in the background. It's a pretty warm day. I don't blame them for using it. I'm too much of a tight ass, but I must admit I certainly appreciate having the fan. It's got me thinking that you know, this trip to Thailand, if I can actually pull it off, and that's a big if, is attractive at this time of the year. That's why I chose to go in Feb, because well, I actually would have gone probably next month actually if I had a choice, but the first cheap fare came up early February, so well, that's why I chose that time, which still means that I would miss probably about 6 to 8 weeks of summer here, and it's already getting pretty oppressive on the 25th. It's a warm day today. There's no breeze, so it feels quite warm. And these are the ginger plants are doing really well. Those shoots have actually now formed into leaves, and I mean, I don't have to wait 8 months to harvest them, I guess. I mean, maybe after summer might be a good time to do it, because that's where most of the growing would presumably take place. So maybe in April or something like that might be a good time to harvest them. The lady palms over here seem to be still alive, but it's a bit difficult to tell. I've been watering them pretty heavily every day. So yeah, I think my neighbour's been away over the whole Christmas break. I haven't seen her for a while. She doesn't spend all that much time at home by the looks of things. But you can see the leaves there are still looking okay. And it's such a dark mound, a damp mound of earth down there. You never know, it might spring to life with the root system. There might be some remnants of life amongst that. So it's worth living in hope on that one, I think. This flower here, the white flower, is doing really well, and these ones I actually grew from seed just down there. This one I bought from a nursery, and that's actually flowering again, and it's got new growth on it, so it's looking good. So is the soursop behind it. So yeah, the garden's looking okay at the moment. I've got to work out, if I do this trip, I'm going to be away for a while, so I'm going to have to get someone to look after the mowing. Well, mind you, the idea is to have someone stay here anyway. That's what I'm going to plan to do. So I guess it'll be their responsibility when I think about it. But yeah, the mowing needs to be done every couple of weeks at the moment, because if you put any moisture into the soil, things are going to grow, because it's just it's so warm. So Yeah, I'm just, it's around 9 o'clock, and I've got, Lynn rang me yesterday to say that she has a friend coming to a Christmas do today, and that they live in Clifton Beach, so that's perfect. That's just one beach up the road, and they rang me themselves after Lynn had rung, and confirmed they'd be here at 11 o'clock today to give me a lift to Lynn. So that's really good, because I felt really guilty about having to get Lynn to come all the way up here just to pick me up, so she doesn't have to do that now, so that's good. And I'm glad I don't have to go get the bus, because we've got the mask mandate on at the moment, and so yeah, if you're on public transport you have to wear them, but of course there is no public transport today, so that's not an issue. And coming in a private car, you don't have to worry about it, so that's good. But it is one of the crazy things about all this travel thing. You know, if I'm going to go overseas now, the latest with Thais is that now they're actually requiring you to have 2 PCR tests on arrival. So that's 3 in total. You've got to do one before you leave the country, which I'd get done locally, because they've actually dropped their prices, I've noticed. The prices of PCR tests have been dropping. And I can get one done locally within about 24 hours of my flight, which means that, I guess, worst case scenario, if I find I've got COVID, then there's no point me flying down to Sydney. It's just a waste of time, because I can't take the international flight. Now, that's assuming we can fly at all, because things are so crazy here at the moment. They've cancelled a lot of these Christmas flights internally in Australia because of this overreaction, I think. Well, I think it's an overreaction to the Omicron variant. I think it's an overreaction because how many deaths have there been as a consequence of this particular strain, and how many hospitalisations? And that really should be the figure we're focusing on. I've said that consistently from the word go. And you know, if we'd acted the same way towards the normal flu, our economy would be flatlining for years, because it's not that far removed from what the flu would cause. Quite a few people die of the flu each year. They used to, before this COVID hysteria came in, and it's just ridiculous. And if the Omicron thing works out to be not as to actually be fairly benign, as not that many side effects, and it doesn't cause major hospitalisations, then we could actually see quite this assuming the governments act rationally regarding that news, then we should see some sort of an improvement with the economy being opened up and travel being opened up and what have you. Currently, I'm still waiting on the Canberra Thai embassy to return my passport with the 60-day Thai visa. So until that arrives, I can't do anything anyway. And the Thai government has decided to, like I said, they're requiring you to have 3 COVID tests now. So you have the one I mentioned before you leave, and then you've got to have one on arrival at Phuket airport. Then 5 days later, you've got to have another one, and you've got to pay for all these tests. In Australia, they cost around $150 for a COVID test. So it's not cheap. In Thailand, I think it's about $90. So it's not quite as expensive, and you've got to also have one before you return back to your own country. So going on the current rate, that's an additional $270 or so on your bill. I guess you can rationalise it by saying that I'm getting very low charges for my accommodation, because these are extraordinary times in Phuket. So that's the people who are making money out of this are governments and the medical people. They're doing well out of this when it comes to the bureaucrats are getting the dough, and the medical people are getting the dough, the ones who are conducting the tests and what have you, the ones that are devising the vaccines. The people who are missing out are the people who actually have to, are the tourists, and the people who are providing accommodation. They have had to slash their room rates, so they're hurting, and we're hurting, and the people are doing well. Big surprise, governments and big pharma. So what a surprise. Not happy about the whole situation, to be honest. But when I feel this oppressive heat up here, I'm thinking, well, in spite of the fact I'd be stuck in a bloody an aluminium tube for about 8 to 9 hours flying to Phuket with a mask on, which is not pleasant, but you know, I could live with it, especially considering I'd probably take a sedative. Yeah, I guess I could live with it. It's not something I'd want to do, and I'm not happy about having to wear masks in Thailand either, but at least it'll be cooler weather than here, and the bar scene is good in Patong, so it's one of the only places worth going to in Thailand anyway. You got people that there's an Australian YouTuber who was trying to talk up how wonderful things in Thailand are and you should go now, and he was right over the top. I thought he just way too optimistic about things. I think you need to have a more measured approach. There's also Peter, who's an English guy, and he seemed fairly sensible, but he was also talking up Pattaya, whichever way you say it. He was talking the scene up there, and he said, my footage proves that there is some life there. There is a little bit of life, but it's certainly quiet compared to what it was. And that's not necessarily a bad thing anyway. I don't mind it being not as raucous as with full-on tourism. I think mass tourism could destroy countries, so in a way it's a unique opportunity to see places like Phuket, maybe in a more laid-back style, which is what's probably the better way to see the place. So I've got no complaints about it, as long as there's enough people to keep the bars open so you can actually go and have a relaxing drink, meet up with strangers, which you can't really do in bars in Australia as easily, and you can't afford to drink for any length of time in a bar in Australia because it's too expensive. Whereas in Thailand, as long as you avoid paying for lady drinks as much as you can, you won't be paying through the nose to have a drink there. And as I say, they're much friendlier, the bars. And it's just nicer being in a foreign country. It's more cosmopolitan and it's more exotic. It's got a lot of positives going for it. So, other thing that happened last couple of days, I saw this clip on Babylon Bee, which is a satirical YouTube site, and they had Elon Musk on, and he was talking about the dangers of wokeness and how it was basically killing off comedy and what have you. It's interesting he said this because he actually was a host on Saturday Night Live, which he said he isn't as thrilled with as he used to be. He feels as if it's too PC now. Yet he did host the show, I think it was in May this year. I remember something about vaguely, but if I'm wrong on that, I'll put it up on screen. But apparently a couple of the cast members of SNL, Saturday Night Live, objected to Elon Musk hosting the show, probably because his views haven't been with the far left, which is the trouble with the whole thing. That's why you can't have comedy, because anything that doesn't fit the political agenda cannot be satirised. So you can satirise the right, but you can't satirise the left, and that's absurd. And apparently the Babylon Bee does both. Anyway, look, if you enjoyed my ramblings, please give me a thumbs up or even a thumbs down. Not that I can see them, and I can see other people's because I've got that software that allows me to see it. And comment on the video as well. It's always good to hear what you people have to say, and I hope everybody had a great Christmas. I also want to add that one in too. And please subscribe to the channel.